The housing minister also earlier today said that essentially we would be seeing this never before seen in Canada announcement from the Prime Minister today, setting expectations very high.
Welcome back to Northern Perspective, everyone. I'm Cypher.
And I'm Fox. The Liberals are in London, Ontario this week for their caucus retreat. This is where all sitting Liberal MPs get together to discuss policy and their game plan for the coming year. They're going to be looking at how the Conservatives are doing in the polls and responding to top issues for Canadians as they look towards the next election. Housing Minister Sean Fraser got everyone excited by telling the media that there is an announcement coming later in the morning, and it was something we've never seen before in Canada.
Before we get to that, help us keep this channel growing strong by hitting that like button to help push this out to more viewers, and subscribe to the channel so you're notified about our next episode. Thank you to Marco and someone for buying us a pizza. If you would like to support the channel, check out the description of this video. Now let's get into it.
Solution to the housing crisis that everyone's telling you people are forced.
There's no silver bullet to the housing crisis that we're living through. It's going to take all hands on deck across levels of government, with the private sector, with the nonprofit sector. But we're going to need to do a series of different things. We're going to need to advance measures that are going to help change the financial equation for builders who are dealing with a lot of projects that are actually approved but been put on pause because of a higher interest rate environment. We're also going to need to work to change the way that cities build homes by issuing permits more quickly, changing their zoning practices to make it easier for builders to build. And we're also going to need to grow to the productive capacity of the workforce by training Canadians to work in home building, by recruiting newcomers who have the skills we need to build, and by investing in innovation, like building homes and factories, so we can actually be more productive with the assets that we have, with the investments that we make. We're going to be looking at everything we can do to build homes more quickly so we can make homes affordable for ordinary people. That's not too much to ask.
Are you worried?
Is it going to be new what you're coming up with?
With the announcement today? Today is going to be the first time that we've done something like this in Canada, and I don't want to spoil the news that we're going to share a little later this morning. But you should also keep in mind that this morning's announcement is one of a series of measures we're going to be advancing over the course of the fall that are going to have a meaningful impact to get more homes built in this country.
So, it sounds like they watched the Conservative convention and said, hey, those are great ideas.
Well, and everybody says, oh, why isn't Pierre talking about his platform? This is why, so that the Liberals don't steal it.
Right. And Pierre has mentioned most of that. And he kind of quietly admitted that all of this is because of the Liberals. So builders are saying that they can't borrow to start all of these major housing projects because interest rates are too high. Why is there higher interest rates? That's because of inflation. Why do we have inflation? Because of the Liberals and their stupid spending. So that's number one. Number two, all of a sudden there's no tradespeople. Well, the left has been pushing people into the humanities and gender studies for I don't know how long. So everyone is off in university getting university education, and then they're surprised when they exit university and there's no jobs for them.
And then the Liberals are surprised when all these boomers are retiring from the trades and there's no young people to replace them.
And lastly, he was talking about, municipal building permit issues because of zoning and because of red tape and bureaucracy and all of that. All of that is stuff that Pierre was saying. And the Liberals were basically telling him, you're out to lunch. You have no idea what you're doing. Yeah, well, he used to be the housing minister for Harper's government. I think he knows what he's doing. So now you're taking all of the points that he's made and you're saying, here's all the reasons for it. And we're coming out with this major announcement later today that we've never done before in this country. Oh, okay. Great.
Sounds epic.
Sounds amazing.
Right?
Looks like we're going to be getting the resolution to the housing crisis. Let's hear it.
I asked the city council and the mayor to increase their ambition to allow people who own a piece of land in this city to build up to 4 units as of right without having changes to the way that they need to amend bylaws. It's something you can do. And I'll tell you, the mayor's response probably led to the most optimistic moment I have had since I assumed this portfolio. He wrote me back and said, we're going to build houses near our post-secondary institutions. We're going to build houses near transit stations. And you know what? They didn't just tell me they were going to legalize housing. Within days, they did it. They hosted a special council meeting where unanimously, 15-0, the council under Josh Morgan's leadership approved 4 units as of right for properties in this city. This is extraordinary. And it's leading to a $74 million contribution from the Housing Accelerator Fund to the City of London that's going to get more homes built in this community. Now, as much as I want to spend my time on the microphone saying thank you to the mayor, and sincerely, Josh, thank you. Your leadership, it's so much bigger than London. This has national implications. But that's not my message today. My message is to every mayor, to every council, to every city, to every community in this country. If you want me to show up, if you want the federal government to show up with financial investments that will directly support your ability to build more homes, give us a reason.
Give us a reason? Wait.
Was that a threat?
So you showed up after the mayor approved 4 houses to be built on a lot, and you gave him $74 million. And then you said to the rest of the cities in Canada and the mayors, if you want me to show up with money, give me a reason.
What is that even?
That's the plan?
Is that a threat? Like, what is that?
This is the Canadian version of Shark Tank? I don't know.
Yeah, what is that?
Like, it sounds like their plan is you guys figure it out and we'll give you even more money than we already have.
But what's this $74 million even for?
I don't know.
Because the average cost of a home in London is just about $744,000. So if it's going directly to houses, they're going to build, what, 100 houses and call it a day?
Housing problem solved, everyone. Okay, that was the major announcement. I don't want to know what a minor announcement is from this housing minister. And by the way, this housing minister, he's the guy responsible for the mess of immigration that we're in. So he's the one who's responsible for all the refugees living under bridges.
Well, maybe they told him, you screwed up with the immigration portfolio, so now you get to fix it with the housing portfolio.
So, yeah. Anyway, let's turn to one of the state-funded media outlets, CTV, and see what they had to say about their impressions.
If you're going to come out with a new housing plan, will it try to reach that goal? The Prime Minister didn't answer your question, but the Housing Minister says, yes, for sure, we will. What do you make of that?
Well, I think I'm a bit confused, actually, by the messages coming from the government, because the housing minister also earlier today said that essentially we would be seeing this never before seen in Canada announcement from the Prime Minister today, setting expectations very high, and then only to be sort of fallen flat by the fact that the Prime Minister announced new funding, or sort of money from old funding that's finally coming more than a year later than it was supposed to be, according to the federal government's own budgeting. And so I think when you're seeing the soaring rhetoric from the housing minister talking about big things coming, and then we're seeing such incremental announcements coming from the Prime Minister and him when they actually get to the podium, I think there's even more questions then about what they actually plan to do, how they plan to do it, and how quickly they'll do it.
So, not impressed.
Well, glad we're not the only ones.
Well, really, like, you have no plan. Your plan is to have the municipalities figure it out and then you give them money. But you've already been giving them money. Why do they need more money? This is ridiculous.
This is like in school where you screw around in class and then you don't do your assignment till the last minute and then you hand in something really ridiculous like this and that's your solution.
Yeah, oops. This is the definition of insanity. So, first, they said we're going to tackle the housing crisis by giving the municipalities billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. And they'll get it done. Okay, so that didn't get it done. So then they went to PEI, and then they had a couple of housing experts come in, give them a bunch of recommendations that they could do immediately, and there's been no announcements since then. And the Liberal caucus started meeting without Trudeau, but anyway, today he was in London, and he decided to make an announcement that, guys, never before done. Never before done. We're going to give the municipalities money. You've already given them money. How is this never before done? But, ladies and gentlemen, your federal housing minister, Sean Fraser. And speaking of ministers, we return to Mr. Dumpster Fire himself, Stephen Gibault. And yes, I'm saying his name like that on purpose.
If it's costing Canada tens of billions of dollars of climate impacts, you don't think people at home are paying for that one way or the other? They are. Everyone, all of us are paying for that. And we need to put in place measures so that our kids and grandkids aren't stuck with a planet that in some parts of the world may become unlivable. That's what we're doing. That's what a responsible government needs to do. And yes, there are challenges with affordability, and we're working very hard, which is why, for example, we're recycling 90% of the revenues of carbon pricing directly to households to help them in this transition.
What?
How can they be recycling 90% of payments back to families? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
No, that's impossible.
If they were actually doing that, why would they just not take it from us in the first place? Oh, I know. It's because they're not actually giving us all this money back that they claim they're giving us back, but they're taking it and telling us that they're giving it back to us.
Well, and again, I'm glad Pierre, back in that Parliament session, pointed out where to find the Parliamentary Budget Office report, because we've used this probably 4 or 5 times now, and this is going to be the 6th. So here it is again. Look at all of the Canadians that are not getting money back.
Most of them.
So you're using 90% of that fund to give virtually no money back? I don't buy it. I don't buy it. And none of you should buy it as well. He has no idea where that money is going. Guaranteed. And you know how I know that? Because in one breath he says that, but then in another breath the government will say, oh, a large portion of the climate tax, the carbon tax, the climate action plan fund is going towards green energy projects.
Yeah, let's just give $13 billion to Volkswagen for a battery plant.
So how can you say that 90% of that is going back to families and only 10% is going to green energy project? What would be the point? This government has no idea what the left hand and the right hand are doing. But we're not done. We're not done with Gibault, folks.
We need to do more on things like housing and affordability. And part of the conversations we will be having in the coming 2 days are what exactly are these things that we will be doing. As you know, the Prime Minister will be making an announcement a little bit later today on housing.
Is it fair, the criticism that the Liberals have been slow in getting out a plan, that perhaps you've been caught flat-footed?
On what?
On housing, getting a plan out?
This is, the housing crisis has been decades in the making. It's nothing new.
So you saw it coming.
Okay.
So you saw it coming.
Gotta love that reporter, because she's saying what we're all thinking and what we all want them to say.
Well, either they're saying this is this new thing that just happened because of COVID, or they are saying, it's been, decades in the making. So you should have seen it 8 years ago when you took office, and you should have done something about it then. Right.
And that's the whole problem with their narrative, is they're still trying to blame housing on conservatives, despite the fact that housing was half the cost. And the fact that this guy's like, we need to do something about affordability. And, people, we're paying for climate, whether we know it or not. Okay, so if we were paying for climate before you put in the carbon tax, why are you making us pay twice?
Here's the thing about climate change. We were supposed to have run out of gas by now. We had 5 years until it got so hot that all the crops would die and everybody would starve. They keep making these statements about what's going to happen with climate change, and it's not happening. So why would I believe that narrative?
So we were about to start recording this video, and Fox found one more golden nugget, like she usually does. And this was actually on the Government of Canada immigration website. So if you want to immigrate to Canada, you'll probably check out the government website, right? All right, let's go. Let's check out the Government of Canada government website. So one of the last options is to prepare financially, okay? So the goal of this section is to estimate how much it'll cost to live in Canada. All right. Well, your cost of living may be different. Your life in Canada will be different than your home country. No doubt. Maybe your home country doesn't have, communism in there. So that's the difference you'll expect.
You may have to take a job with lower pay while you upgrade your skills or get experience working here. That means your financial status could change.
So basically, we're not going to accept any of your previous certifications or skills that you've earned in other countries, and you're going to drive a cab. Welcome to Canada, everybody. Household expenses can take up to half of your take-home pay in Canada. These expenses include the cost of your home, heating, food, clothing, health insurance, transportation. Your home will cost the most. Most Canadians spend 35% to 50% of their income on housing and utilities. This includes the cost of renting your home or paying your mortgage. A mortgage is a long-term loan. It also includes the often high cost of heating, due to the carbon tax maybe, and paying for electricity, telephone, service, and water. I guess their strategy is to scare people to stop coming into the country? Maybe? So then we said, all right, well, when was this website updated? Has this been up there for a while? This was updated on July 24th. So this is very recent. So yeah, they are probably trying to scare the hell out of everybody to stop coming to Canada.
I don't even know if it's that. I'm just wondering if it's like an I told you so that when people get here and start complaining and start saying how they want to move back to their old country because it's too expensive in Canada, the government can go, well, we warned you.
We told you cost of living wasn't affordable here and you chose to move here anyway. So we decided that it may be a good idea to change the language on their website to make this a little bit more understandable for people. Here is the Northern Perspective version of the Canada immigration expectations on what you'll be paying. Your cost of living may be different. In Canada, we will be taxing the living crap out of you. We believe in your right to exist, only to pay for Justin Trudeau's extravagant vacations, where we can ensure that he spends as much of your hard-earned money as possible so that he can sing poorly in hotel lobbies while showing the highest disrespect for foreign dignitaries. Expect to be taxed even more for every additional year that you live here so that we can achieve our goal of making Canada the most unaffordable place to live on this earth. Expect virtually all of your money to disappear while paying taxes and food, which is optional. Your home will cost the most. Most Canadians cannot even afford food, let alone a home. So the good news is you won't need to worry about this expense. Just do what most people do and grab a tent or live under a bridge.